Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Thank you again for joining me for another live Q&A session here on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips, tricks, techniques, things that I do every day in my own voiceover business, and then we get together in these weekly chats to talk about a topic or two. And this week, the topic is managing your voiceover business. We talk a lot about formatting and editing and marketing and, but we don't talk enough about the business side of voiceover. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So if you're not new here, then you know that every week we have a new poll, and that poll is, of course, the topic for today, but we usually get derailed. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so today's poll is, what do you struggle with the most in your voiceover business? And as you know, and I've said it many times, that when you start voiceover, you got to treat it like a business, right? If you start any side hustle, even, you got to treat it as a business. You have to shift your mindset from employee to CEO. There's a lot of hats that you now have to wear in a business. So in order to have a successful business, you have to think like a CEO. You have to think like, you have to think like a marketer. You have to think like an accountant. You have to think like HR. You have to think like customer service. You have not only that, in addition to recording the voiceovers and the audiobooks themselves. So you have to wear many, many hats. So let's talk about the business side. So if you have questions about what I do, or even if it's not related to business and you're catching me live for the first time, then ask a question. If you have a question, it's okay to ask. There are no dumb questions. We've probably all asked the same questions that you're thinking. So ask away. But just to look at the poll really quick, and I use this poll just to kind of get a pulse on what everybody's most interested in talking about, or what questions you have the most. Looks like, and I'm actually surprised that there aren't more of you struggling with invoicing and payments, because I get that question a lot. But it looks like 4% of you, 26 votes, 4% of you said invoicing and payments. That's good. You guys are collecting your money. That's good. 15% of you said customer management. Okay. Vast majority of you said marketing. And 19% of you said workflow. Okay. So I know we do talk about marketing. Marketing is one of the things that we talk about a lot here on my channel. And I think just as a general statement, I think picking a direction to start with marketing is probably the hardest part because there are so many different avenues for marketing. Picking one and then sticking with it. And then once that's rolling, starting another, vein of marketing. So I think a lot of times we hold ourselves back because we get analysis paralysis, perhaps, that we just kind of get stuck with what to do first. I have seen some comments about social media, just skimming through the comments in the chat. And I think that's one of the best ways to start marketing yourself. I mean, if you think about it, that's where all the eyes are, right? Is social media. Everybody's on all the different platforms for either information, entertainment, or a distraction, or some combination of those, right? So everybody's there. So you need to be there. That's where the eyes are. You need to go where the eyes are. That is the easiest way to market yourself. So let's get over to the comments and let's just start asking some or answering some questions. So if you have a question about something specific regarding marketing or not marketing, managing your voiceover business, or even if it's not, just ask away. That's what I'm here for. That's why I do this, right? So ask your questions. Okay, let's take this off and let's get over to the comments. I think Dwight was first. Dwight. Good morning, Dwight. Dwight says, good morning, master of voiceover and the pulchritude over VO topics. The wonderful Angela Olfest. It's OHL, by the way, but that's okay. That's okay. Not everybody spells my last name right the first time. Give it up, gang, and the crowd goes wild. I'm imagining everybody clapping and cheering, or not, probably sipping coffee and rubbing the sleep from their eyes. Well, I am, because it's earlier for me than it is for you. It's 9 a.m. here, where it's 12 p.m. EST for most of you. Or close to. Anyway. Okay. And then we have Spicy Caesar. How you doing, Caesar? How's things going? Oh, hi, Angela. At this point, it's marketing. Not because I don't know how or that I'm not good at it. I'm great at it. I just have to do it. Once my backlog is clear, I'll be on it and we'll share tips. I recently discovered that an author pocketed my audition as second choice, not because I wasn't good, but because another narrator had a bigger social media following. Interesting. Something else to keep in mind. Another reason to be on social media, huh? Because that could be part of the decision making to choose you for the job. Interesting. Caesar, was it royalty share, or I would imagine not, but I wonder what did they explain why that mattered? Just out of curiosity. I have since earned that role because the narrator turned out to be unreliable and unpleasant to work with. But it's interesting to note that I was passed over because my TikTok game wasn't big enough. Interesting. Interesting. That said, hello everyone. I thought 2025 was going to be a reboot. Turns out it's a reformat. I'm finding a lot of people are just considering a continuation of 2024, but it's all in the way you look at it, right? My life is changing, but I have you and your community to keep me level and supported. Thank you, Angela. Oh, thank you for that, Caesar. I hope everything gets better. I mean, it can only get better, right? It can only get better. Ron, hey, Ron. When I do I need to edit or add anything? Or just send something with a low noise floor and clear vocals? Was this, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Auditions, perhaps? Or are you talking about marketing? Like email marketing, setting a demo? What do you mean? Let me know, Ron, so I can answer your question properly. Donnie G says, morning all. I hope the week has started out well for everyone. So far, so good for me. It's been a great few months for me. Reading Time with Poppy says, good morning, everybody. Someday I hope to convince Utah to stay on Arizona time and leave DST changes behind. You know, I don't know if you want that because you stay the same, but everybody else changes around you. So for me, my live time changes. It's now an hour earlier for me. All of my meetings that I have with my mentees are now an hour earlier. So I don't know if you want that. So that way the time stays the same for everyone else, but you have to adjust everything for everyone else. I don't know if you want that. I've always struggled marketing myself. Yeah, marketing, I'm not saying marketing is easy because it's not. It takes time, it takes effort, but I mean, social media is one of the easiest ways to go about it. And then once you have those platforms established, then you can start looking at email marketing. Because even if you think about it a little bit deeper, even once you start on social media, you start some business accounts on all these different platforms, and then you start creating content. And again, the content can be you recording auditions or a piece of the book that you're currently working on. And if you are recording a piece of a book that you're working on, you could ask the author for permission to do so or their thoughts on it. But I think even more now than ever before, I think the authors would appreciate that because it starts to create a little bit of excitement and buzz around the book coming out. So I would think that would be a great thing to do, but that could be something you could do for content. You could also talk about your journey, right? There could be somebody watching your content that has some parallels with, your schedules, your responsibilities, similar path to what you're on, and you could possibly help them to move forward. You never know, right? Like chronicling your journey into this new foray. That could be something that you could do on social media. And then also incorporate a little bit about you. Again, if you go to the gym, if you're walking the dogs, just some morning thoughts, or you could have like a shtick, you could be the morning meditation guy. You could be the affirmation girl. You could be the weather girl. That's kind of, something really interesting and cheeky. I mean, whatever it is that you decide to do, as long as you are heard, right? Your voice is heard. They can see your face once in a while. They can hear your voice. They get a sense of who you are as a person. And then the more content you're making, again, it doesn't have to be something polished and professional. As long as you're doing it, it's the consistency of putting out content is what really matters. And I say that, but I'm not very consistent myself. It's hard. It's hard to wear all these hats and be the only person and do all this stuff. I get it. But marketing is important. I mean, if you want to be hired, you have to be seen. And to be seen, you got to put yourself out there. I mean, that's basically all it is. So once you start to have those channels established on social media, on whichever platform you choose, then you could start to build like an email list, right? When people start to connect with you and contact you, or if you're driving traffic to your website, if there's a way that you could collect the email addresses or, a way like a contact form or something like that. And then in addition to that, start finding companies that you would potentially like to work for and start reaching out to them via email. Or you could do the good old-fashioned cold calling or warm calling if you have some people that you think would be in need of your services, right? It's just a matter of picking where to start and just start. It's the same thing that I always say with starting voiceover. You have to just start. You can't fear the unknown. You can't fear what hasn't or might not even happened. right? You can't tell yourself that there's this unknown, that it's too scary and I'd rather stay in this comfortable place and just, not do anything. You have to start. You have to just do it. And in the doing, you will learn so much more. Not only that, but the confidence you gain from just doing it and proving to yourself that you can do it. So just getting started is going to be everything for you in every aspect. In the recording, in the marketing, and I'm going on a tangent. So I'm going to pump the brakes on that right now. And let's get back to the comments. That was a good one. Rustic Hillbilly is here. Good morning, Rustic Hillbilly. Good to see you. David said, hello, Angela from Hamilton, Ontario. Hello to you, David. Tanya says, afternoon, everyone. Managed to not get caught out by U.S. time change. Yay. Pamela says, hi, all. Hey, Pamela. Erica's here. Hey, Erica, what made you decide on an LLC versus other models? Excuse me. That's a good question. And I think it was just, I'm trying to remember. I was talking to my attorney who drafted this for me, who drafted the LLC for me. And I think it came down to tax savings, just what was appropriate for me at the time, because it was just me. But again, that is something that I recommend talking to a professional about, because, everybody's situation is different. Your path or direction or what you intend to do with this business could change in the future. So that is definitely something that I would talk to a professional about, to see what works best for you. But I think for me, it just came down to the tax savings and the protections that the LLC provided. Masonry Construction says, I think none of the above would have been a better choice for me. I did opt for customer management because we should forever be looking for customers, but I have my marketing handled. Just to touch on that, just because there are 12% of you that said customer management was a sticking point or something that you struggled with. Customer management, there's a few different ways that you can go about that. Most of the platforms that we find work on, namely like the freelance marketplaces and the pay-to-plays like, voices.com or Voice123, those will actually manage the customers more or less for you. Like there's a way to keep track of what jobs are in progress and who is paid and who hasn't. Some of them do, some of them don't. So having a spreadsheet that is, or starting a spreadsheet to keep track of these things in the beginning is going to definitely help you before things get crazy or out of hand. A lot of these building blocks, these foundations of your business, these solid pillars that your business sits on, need to be developed at the beginning. Trust me. Don't wait until you say, well, I'm not a professional yet, or I haven't, started even making any money yet. Why should I bother with, figuring out how to invoice people or how to track customers? I have no customers, so I have no one to track. Start it now. These will be a solid foundation for your business to sit on. Once you start rolling, once you start to win some jobs, and then you'll start to have some clients, and then maybe those clients refer you to other people and things start to snowball and get out of hand. And then you're just like, I'm losing track of people. You don't want to get to that point. Trust me, build your foundation now. And when I say your foundation, have a way to invoice people. Have a way to track your customers, where they came from, how much they've paid, how much they owe you. What date, what kind of job. Keep track of these things. It's better to do it now than later. Trust me. And then have a way to keep track of money coming in and expenses, inflow and outflow of money. I think I've mentioned this before many times actually, PayPal Business, and then connected to QuickBooks Self-Employed. That helps tremendously with, quarterly taxes once you get to that point. So having these things established sooner rather than later, you're going to thank yourself. Trust me. Trust me. So customer management, again, going back to the beginning because I'm going off on tangents again. You could have a Google spreadsheet where you keep track of these customers, which is a nice thing because that way you can access it on your phone, or you can access it, on your desktop just about anywhere. Or you could have an Excel spreadsheet if you're one of those. Any which way that you can keep track. VoiceOverView is a customer management system designed by voiceover artists for voiceover artists. You could check them out. There may be a free trial or a free version. I don't recall, but it is a paid service. But from what I remember, I think it's like $10 a month or something. But it's a good CRM to look into. Again, that's voiceoverview.com, I believe. And I think there might be a couple of others, or you could build your own. Also, I think if you were looking for a template of some sort, you could try, there's tons of templates and things on Etsy. If you go to Etsy and just type in, customer management spreadsheet template, I mean, you would be surprised if you just did a little digging. You could probably find even some template examples on Google, if you're just looking for an image of a, So just look around a little bit. You might find some great ideas for that. VoiceOverView, Jim. VoiceOverview.com, I believe. Erica says, good morning. By the way, everyone, still waking up. Yeah, it's a little bit earlier for me. Lisa says, good morning from second winter just hit Alberta. I have not had the opportunity to do any of the items in the poll. Just recording my first book for ACX, and it is taking all my brain cells. Well, when you take a break from recording this audiobook, or when you're pausing, in your downtime, start thinking about this stuff again sooner rather than later. It'll be a lot easier to implement or build these things, build these pillars now than it will be later. Trust me. Tanya says, I struggle with how to make myself sound appealing and unique to potential customers. What just popped into my head, Tanya, was stop trying. You are already unique. What makes you, your voice, is unique. Your unique sound, your unique perspective, your unique view. Those are all things that already make you unique. Don't try to be something other than what you are. Just be you. That is unique. You are already unique and appealing. If what you're saying is because you're not being hired as much as you'd like, then I would say you need to audition more, right? Every time you audition, you're putting yourself in front of someone who potentially could be looking for your voice. If you're not auditioning enough, you're not giving yourself enough opportunities to be found by someone who is looking for your voice or your approach, your sound, your style. So keep auditioning, and you will come across clients who are looking for your unique sound and approach and voice. So don't try to be something you are not. Just be you. Adam says, I'm having a tough time finding the work opportunities. Thus far, I've only received work through ACX. My Upwork proposals often aren't answered, and Fiverr hasn't really worked either. I think in the beginning for me, same. Most of my work came from ACX in the beginning. Upwork and Fiverr do take some work. Fiverr more than Upwork. But there's different nuances to both of those that could be what is keeping you from being seen. I mean, both of those are different kind of animals. So that is something that we would have to take a look at together, Adam, or with someone who knows how Upwork works and Fiverr works, and perhaps could give you some tips on what to do to be seen more often. I mean, it could be keywords that you are or are not using. It could be maybe something in your demo, or maybe your pricing structure needs to be reconfigured. I mean, it could be any number of things and why you're not seeing the work on Upwork or Fiverr. There's really no broad statement to cover. I mean, there's little nuances there. But either way, just keep at it. The day you give up could be the day that someone found you if you had only submitted that audition, right? So just keep at it. Just keep at it. Keep tweaking it. Caesar says, by the way, I'm not late, but I'm handing out Oreo pies. No way I can finish these on my own. Well, we would gladly take them. Gladly. We'll help you out with that, Caesar. Christine says, hello. Hello, Christine. Good morning. Peak Parable says, I think the hard part of marketing is finding what market you want to target and how to go about the best ROI on time spent and desired market share of focused, i.e. ACX, Fiverr, direct marketing, etc. It is hard to sort of narrow your focus and target, as you said, a specific demographic, a specific sub-niche of voiceover, like what kind of companies are looking for what. But you can't focus, or you can't like zero in on something without starting. Right? So I would say start marketing, and then once you start to get a little bit of feedback on which hashtags are working to bring more people to your page, or what kind of content you're putting out to get more likes or reshares or comments or whatever it is, and take note of that. And then that will start to guide you toward what is working. But you have to beta test sort of before you find out where that target is best served, or where that target should which target maybe is best for you. Does that make sense? I think so. You guys know what I'm talking about. But long story short, just get started. And then once you start to see that feedback, then you can adjust your aim. Kristen says, good morning from cloudy LA. I just accepted my first audiobook narration contract on ACX. I'm very excited and also very nervous. So thankful for you, Angela, and all of you here and in the Platinum group. This new audiobook experience is because of all of your help and guidance. I'm going to tell you the same thing I told Allie. The information is out there. The information and the support to do well in any business, really. But for voiceover and audiobook narration, there's tons of people out there like myself that are offering you information. You took it, absorbed it, put it into action. You did the work. You know, us talking heads in videos can only do so much. We can only lead you to the water, but you took it and you drank from it, and you did the work to implement it and make it work. So good job, you. You're the one that did the work. So congratulations. And going back to the first half of this about being excited and nervous, very normal. Very normal. It's so exciting, but you're also sort of intimidated, terrified, dare I say. I know I was, but again, just do it. Just get in there and tell yourself, okay, this is what I chose to do, and I'm going to do it. And it's going to be fun. Don't forget the fun part. This is the fun part. Tell yourself this is the fun part. And have fun with it. And tell that story. Take everything that you've absorbed and learned and practiced and put it to use. And have fun in the process. So good job, Kristen. I'm proud of you. Oh, sorry, Jim, I skipped you. Good morning from Memphis. Good morning to you, Jim. Janelle. Hey, Janelle. Yet the Platinum Group is represented here. Hey, Angela. Marketing makes me nervous, but I'm pushing the overthinking and paralysis analysis to the side. It's been a bit rude anyway. Yeah. Paralysis, analysis, paralysis. It's definitely rude. Right? Any kind of negativity, any kind of negative Nancy sitting on your shoulder, whispering in your ear, you just get out of here. Get out of here. Right? Do it, Janelle. Just do it. Caesar says it's a very generous PFH, not royalty share. The leading theory in our Platinum Group is that authors often lean on narrators with big social media for free promo as they record live post clips, etc. See, this is kind of what I was thinking. And since social media, interaction with other people, what's going on outside? Anyway, interaction with other people is taking place more on social media than it ever has before. The reach of social media is tremendous. So if you're not on social media promoting what you do, whatever that is, even if it's not voiceover and audiobook narration, you're missing out. You're missing out on tons of connections, networking, meeting other people, not just potential clients, but also other audiobook narrators and voice actors, and then also leveraging their audience and their reach as well. Get on social media. And I'm starting to see this shift, and I'm pretty certain that was what you were alluding to earlier, is that the promo, right? It definitely matters for royalty share, but it's starting to have a bigger impact for, fee for production or PFH, right? Per finished hour. Interesting. So it's free marketing. Caesar says, I live in the tropics. The first time I heard about DST, I thought it stood for Don't Stop Twerking. No, you didn't. Well, maybe you did. So when someone said it was daylight savings time, I started bouncing and confused everyone at the grocery. I just got that image. Oh my God. Jim says, marketing is a big head trip. I only manage to reach out to a dozen companies before my head gets very tired and I have to stop the work for a little while. Yet no one ever said marketing was fun. That's why people hire marketers to do it for you, which is always an option. It's always an option to have somebody do it for you. But, I mean, it's kind of a catch-22. Because you want to give everything you do a personal touch. Because that matters to the end user. That matters to the person on the other side, that personal touch. I know I appreciate a personal touch. But it's hard to do when you're also needed in several other places as the CEO, as the business owner. You have many different hats to be wearing, and sometimes you might not have the time or the bandwidth to give everything a personal touch. This is exactly why people hire out for either virtual assistants or, social media marketing reps or someone to do it for you. This is exactly why, right? Some sort of an assistant, someone to help you. And I want to say there's tons of AI assistants being developed for many of these purposes, like AIs that can like formulate and schedule things, create. I'm trying to think. I'm sure Caesar probably knows what I'm talking about, but there's a lot of these different AIs that are in development that should be able to take over some of these things for you. Do I completely trust all of these AI gizmos? Not really. So, but I've always been that way. Like if it's not something tangible or something that I can control, maybe it's just me. I'm a control freak. I don't know. But if I can't like put my arms around it and touch it myself in some way, shape, or form, I can't trust that it's going to do what it says it's going to do. So maybe that's just me. I don't know. But maybe younger generations have more faith in it than I do. But it wouldn't hurt if you're at the point where you're at the overwhelm to look into perhaps using some of these AIs to help with some of these functions, or to hire out. I mean, if you have to. Seeing some of your comments. Some of your comments I'm not reading. You know who you are. Dylan says, good morning, all. Good morning, Dylan. Right now, my biggest hurdle is getting my butt in gear to get the work done that I have. Strange work hours make for even stranger recording times, and I'm dead tired. Yeah, that is definitely, I don't know if that's a workflow thing or just, maybe it's time, Dylan, for you to increase your prices. That's usually overwhelm, and being dead tired is usually indicative of it's time. It's time to perhaps increase your pricing so you can slow some work down but still make the same amount. Just something to consider, Dylan. Caesar says to Dylan, oh, I hear you. Been between working third shift and running errands between or during daylight hours. I often manage about 3 to 4 hours of rest before I have to get started with the day. Same for you, Caesar. I think it's time for you to increase your prices to reduce your workload before you burn yourself out. Jim says, in Fiverr, I'm considering quitting the site and maybe later restarting it. Presently, I've had a gig that seldom gets clicks, words very blandly, and Fiverr does not let me edit the pitch. I don't think you should delete any kind of progress that you've made. There are ways to change. I mean, you can technically change everything on Fiverr apart from the username. You can't change your username, but everything else you should be able to edit. So that might be something that you and I need to take a look at together, Jim. This is something like, if not me, then have somebody like audit your gig for you, like take a look at it and tell you what you need to change, add, omit, do a complete refresh on it is what sounds like you may need. Caesar says, as far as I know, Jim, I think all aspects of your gig can be revised, down to description, title, pricing, tags, and other details. Yes. The only thing that you cannot change is your username. He says, Fiverr's not letting me change anything. It's probably... I've never come across that before, Jim, so that would definitely be something that we'd need to take a look at and see what is happening. Just saw a super chat. Hold on. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you for the super chat, Donnie. Donnie says, first, I love you and miss you all. I now have a job that is 12 hour shifts. Yeesh. So finding time to record has been challenging, to say the least. Yeah, that's tough. 12-hour days. We miss you too, Donnie. But join when you can. And thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Now I have to find where I left off. Hold on. Caesar says, your main About Me section can be edited by opening your profile. Scroll down until you find Edit Description. Masonry Construction says, funny topic for me because just last week got an audiobook deal on the topic of procrastination. Appropriate. But I think procrastination is definitely something that we all deal with, we all face. And we justify procrastination by telling ourselves that we need to keep learning something or weighing pros and cons, or we need to keep developing something. I mean, whatever the excuse is, that's what we call procrastinating, right? You're telling yourself that I can't move forward because I don't have XYZ, or I don't know enough about XYZ, or I haven't started or built out an XYZ, or I don't have XYZ equipment, whatever it is. That is procrastinating. You're doing it to yourself. So again, all of the problems, whatever problems that you're having, whatever obstacle, whatever hurdle you're experiencing, can be overcome by just moving through it, doing it, start it, choose a direction, and go. You can always adjust after the fact. Right? Just like we've said before, ready, fire, aim. You are ready now. You might not realize it, but you're ready. You're ready to get started. You cannot improve. You cannot build. You cannot do anything productive just by sitting idle. You're ready as you sit right now, knowing what you know. Now, fire, meaning start, right? Build a social media platform. Go out and start yourself a PayPal account so you can invoice people. Go to these websites and start making your services available. Whatever it is that whatever aspect of this that you're working on, you can't make any progress unless you go, unless you start, fire. And then once you're going, you can adjust your aim. Ready, fire, aim. You can't make any progress unless you're going. Right? Don't allow yourself to sit and procrastinate. Don't allow yourself to do that. That's just an excuse to not get started. Go. Right? Right. Dylan says, Caesar, I'm sure you're in the same boat as me. I feel guilty because I don't have trouble getting clients, but the lack of time to satisfy them is killing me. Raise your prices, Dylan. Raise your prices. Yep, Jim has the same sentiment. As a voice, not AI, you are unique, right? You yourself are unique already. Don't try to be something or someone else. Just be you. You are enough as you are. You are unique as you are. You are marketable just as you are. You just have to find the right people that are looking for your voice. Right? Paul brought the donuts. Thank you, Paul. I'm hungry. Jim says, okay, how many samples should I have up on ACX? I don't think there's a limit. I don't think there's a limit. Depending on which genres that you're interested in doing, I would have at least a couple of samples for each genre that you are looking to do. So at least 2 for each. Because if you think about it from like a marketing perspective, because posting samples is a form of marketing too, you're making yourself visible on ACX, right? So if you have a larger number of samples, that's a wider net of people that can see you, depending on whatever filter that they're using to find narrators, right? You want to be visible within every one of those filters. So if you have a broad range of genres that you're interested in producing, audiobook-wise, then have a couple of samples for each one of those. So you have a greater chance of being seen no matter which genre that author is looking in. I hope that makes sense. But I don't think there's an actual cap to samples. I think you can have as many as you want. I've never had a point where they said, okay, you're done. Stop posting samples. I've never heard anybody say that. Masonry Construction says VO is definitely not a get-rich deal. No. Hang in there. Consider yourself a poorly paid intern while learning the business and meeting people. And that is with every business. I don't know of any business where you start making gobs of money day one. I don't know any of them. You have to start at the beginning every time, no matter where you are or what you're doing. You start at the beginning, just like everyone else. And then you start to learn and grow and build and get better and more competent and make more money. It's a process. It's a natural process for everything. But you have to start. Oh, we got another super chat. Hold on. I'm scrolling. We got a lot of comments. John Smith. Thank you, John Smith. I appreciate you. It's awfully kind of you. Is that your puppy? That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. Wow, we have a lot of comments. Okay, hold on. I'm going to try to find where I left off now. Here we go. Donnie G. Lisa, I'm glad I left Alberta. Winters are getting old. Dwight says, as you know, I am a process organization guy. That said, I redid my bookkeeping by using Cloud AI to generate an Excel spreadsheet template specific for the VO business. It is awesome. 8 sheets. Well, there you go. See, I know there's AIs out there that can do a lot more than I think we realize. So, Dwight, do you just go to claudeai.com? Or I know you can't put a web address in the chat because YouTube will filter it, but if you can spell it out phonetically, maybe. Donnie G said, Lisa, I'm glad I left Alberta. Was this a dupe? I'll take the rain I have now. Masonry Construction says, Caesar, wait, Oreo makes pies? Like ice cream sandwiches, maybe? I've seen Oreo ice cream sandwiches. Those are good. Jim says, just spent the weekend listening to Jason Levine videos on Audition. Found out that rolling the scroll wheel in the mouse is zooming. Helped a lot. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Also, if you have a mouse that has the scroll button that will go, that will lean from side to side, you can also go forward with that too. So as you're scrolling, you can zoom in, and then if you kind of click it to the side, it should move forward in the playback as well. Joe says, I feel I need a better handle on what all the sub pricing categories mean in Fiverr, etc. Any good trainings, websites to learn more? Thanks. I have a handful of videos on my playlist for, I think, freelance voiceover and maybe even audiobook. I have a couple of playlists here on my channel, and I know that I have more than one video on pricing your voiceover gig and what all the different add-ons are. I think that's what you mean. All the add-ons for your voiceover gig. I'm actually thinking about doing a Fiverr webinar. Would you guys be interested in that? Doing like a full like A to Z Fiverr webinar? Like maybe 2 hours? Maybe like an hour of walking through what everything is and then like a Q&A. I don't know. Do you guys even want that? I mean, it might be an easy way. I mean, I'm trying to make a course for Fiverr, but they keep changing stuff. Every time I have it almost done, they add another feature. I think like a live webinar to go over what is there now and then to answer questions about it like now. I'm thinking that might have to be what I'll have to do because they just keep like, changing stuff. Jim says, niching is what you do after you do a lot of work and see what pays the best. So go, right? You're ready now, fire, and then aim. Then figure out where your targets are. You can always adjust the direction of your sales, right? But you have to go, you have to get rolling, moving. Caesar says to Masonry Construction, nah, they're homemade. Crushed Oreos, heavy cream, baked pie shell. Good God. That sounds delicious. Jim says that is the general freelancing rule for voice, writing, or whatever endeavor. Joel says direct marketing is what I really want to master. I don't want to rely on pay-to-plays to go full-time. I could never get to most of them on time. Should I still keep auditioning on those sites anyway? I would say unless you're dead set on just leaving the site, keep auditioning. I wouldn't ever remove your profile unless the site is doing something that you just morally, ethically don't agree with, right? Because in my head, again, the more visible you are, the more traffic you're going to get. You have to be visible to be hired. So if you're not there, you're not visible. So unless that site is, if you're not seeing any work there, then stop auditioning, perhaps, if that's what you feel like you have to do. But don't delete your profile. And again, unless you just don't agree with this company's ethics, morals, whatever's going on, and you want to completely remove yourself. But if you're not seeing any work right now, I would keep auditioning. I mean, what does it hurt? If it's not going to cost you a lot of money, or, you know what I mean? What would it hurt? You were already there. You're already established there. Keep auditioning. Again, you never know that day's audition could turn into a job. You just never know. The day that you quit could have been the day that you made it big or started, right? So, I mean, I would keep auditioning if you're not seeing anything until you do. And then you can consider perhaps leaving. That's how I look at it. But it's the beauty of having a business and do whatever you want to do, right? Donnie says, okay, here, I brought donuts. Thank you, Donnie. Coach Ariel says, good to be here from what is that? Sebastopol? Oh, God, don't make me pronounce words wrong. Dwight says, hey, gang, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps Angela Olfest. You spelled it right greatly. Notice the spelling correction I did. Gracias, mi amigo. Awesome. Yes, please hit that like button. And if you're watching in Team Replay, please consider subscribing. It does help. It helps boost my algorithms to show my content to more people who are looking for this kind of information. So let's help out other brand new voice artists and push my face in front of them by hitting all of my buttons. Thank you so much. Colette says, what is the cost of hiring a great marketing person? That is going to vary. If you're looking for any kind of freelancers to do any kind of work for you, for me, I would go to Fiverr. I think that's where I would start, and just punch in those keywords into the search bar as a buyer, not a seller. If you go in as a buyer and put in social media marketing or email marketing or something of that, whatever you're looking for, and then just see what comes up. And then you can start filtering through all of the different people, perhaps where they are in the world. Like if you only want to work with someone that's US based just because of, the time differences or whatever, or English speaking or whatever it is that you're looking for. And then start looking at their packages. Start looking at what they're charging and what that entails, so on and so forth, so you get a good idea. But that's where I would start. That's the easiest way. There's the biggest pool of people available there for you to sort of filter through and get an idea of what's available, what people are doing, and how much they're charging, right? And if you decide that you like somebody there, then give them a try. Read the reviews, That's what I would do. Caesar says pricing varies depending on scope and the type of clients that person handles. I've done stuff for big brands in the past, but now I offer more reasonable prices for small business endeavors. And Jim says, not unless you have a bunch of money to pay them to do the marketing. Well, yeah, if you're hiring somebody, of course you have to pay them. That's a decision that you have to make. Donnie says, yes, personal touching is always okay. Donnie. Coach says, AI can be like a virtual assistant. You still need to oversee. Absolutely. Yep. That's true. So anybody that you hire, whether it's an actual person or employ an AI to do something for you, you still need to oversee it. You still need to make sure it's doing what you need it to do. Jim says AI can be co-opted, taken over by others. I keep it here. Yeah, that's the thing I think the most troublesome, I think, for me with any kind of AI is that you don't know where else it's going, who else has access. I think that's the thing that troubles me the most about any kind of AI. Spicy Caesar says, I actually enjoy marketing. I enjoy creating brand guidelines, launching campaigns, promos, even copywriting and content creation. Something about the creative spark and all. So much fun. Joy is, hey, Joy. You feeling better? Hello, everyone from sunny Southfield, Michigan. I'm feeling better. Good. Hate that recovery from influenza A takes so long. I'm done with Michigan winters. I'm going to be a snowbird. AZ or Nevada? AZ. Come to AZ. Come to the desert. Caesar says, love you too, Bear. Keep your head above water. We'll always be your community and have your back. Peak Bearable says, the problem with marketing is some people like to see previous jobs to help get future jobs, and more you have, more you get. That is places like ACX is great. It helps build a resume for maker example. Yeah, some people do want to see previous work and things like that, but some don't. Right? So for some people, social proof is enough, depending again on which platform that they're contacting you on. But yeah, ACX is a great place to start building a CV or a resume, or a list of titles that you've done. Sean says, off topic, but my mentor who inspired me to get into VO died. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. George Lowe. You may know him as Space Ghost. To me, he was Uncle Space Ghost. He helped me with all of this, so feeling lost. I'm sorry to hear that. We're sorry for your loss. We lost a really good friend and voice actor not too long ago, too. So we totally feel you. Sorry to hear that. Caesar says, I did pick up a book on procrastination, but decided I'll read it later. But Joy says, I miss you too, Donnie. John Smith's waving. Thank you. Thank you again for the super chat. Coach says, so ready. Yes, moving through the procrastination learning and not yet random glitches. Exhaling and moving. Yes. Just push through. Donnie says, if you truly want to get into the driver's seat, then you need to listen to Angela. Thank you for that, Donnie. Jim says, my marketing pitch includes providing a human voice with the different services. That might not actually be a bad idea. Right? Sort of forewarning a client, a potential client, right? That you don't want to go the easy route. I mean, they have to, I think a lot of companies that are considering using an AI voice don't think about the end user. They're thinking about their bottom line, ease of use, all of the things that make it easier for them and not really considering the end user. I can't tell you how many times that I have been hired to replace an AI voice for that very reason, because their client hated the AI voice. They hated the end result, and they decided to go back and hire a human instead. So, I mean, that might not be a bad idea to include that. Right? Consider the end user. Reading Time with Poppy says, a poorly paid intern, maybe, but I don't have to get anybody else's coffee. Yep. Only worry about my own coffee. I just need someone to bring me coffee. That would be appreciated. Joe says yes. Oh, for the webinar? Okay. Colette says yes on webinar. Tanya says yes. Oh, good. Okay, good. All right. Coach says yes, please, on Fiverr. Caesar says Fiverr webinar is awesome. Sign me up. Take my money, adopt my children. Jim says, yeah. I don't know. This is just something I have in the building of this course, I already have a bunch of content, but it just keeps changing. They keep like revising and adding and, so then I have to go back and change things. So I'm like, I have all this content. So I don't know. I'll have to think about how long it's actually going to take to get through. And then I would definitely want to leave time for questions and answers because, again, everybody's situation's sort of different. So I don't know. Let me put my thinking cap on. And then once I have a better idea of how much time it's going to take, I'm thinking probably 2 hours, maybe a 2-hour webinar on Fiverr and then a Q&A. I'll have to put my thinking cap on for that. But I mean, if you guys are interested, then it makes sense. I have a ton of content already. Dwight says, I'd pay for the Fiverr webinar even though I have been through it. Fiverr changes. Yes, they keep changing stuff. I mean, some good, some bad, mostly good. But Lisa says, yes, on Fiverr webinar, I would certainly join at the schedule. Okay, good. Dylan says, I gave up on Fiverr because no matter what I did, I got nothing. I expanded my business elsewhere. Now that I'm extremely busy, my Fiverr has blown up. It's the way it goes. Right? That's the way it goes. It's a really good problem to have. So, but if you're overwhelmed, raise your prices. It's usually the best indicator that you need to raise your prices is when you start to get overwhelmed. Caesar says the universe loves us all, Dylan. Knick-knack. That's cute. Says, anyone know if the mouse tricks are available in Audacity? Is there a setting I can change to be able to use the wheel to zoom? Oh, it looks like Caesar has an answer for you. That's kind of how it works. No, hold the control key, roll the wheel. See, that might have been the thing they were missing was the control key. But if you're ever in doubt, I mean, Google will tell you, or at least lead you in a direction to find the answers to most questions. And I want to say there's like half a dozen or more different YouTube creators that have channels specific to using Audacity or using Adobe Audition or using Reaper, Studio One, whatever DAW that you're choosing to use. I bet you there's a channel dedicated to how to use it. Faux show. Masonry Construction says, keep auditioning, saving every audio file to your own computer to be used for samples to new prospects. Rich. Hey, Rich. Haven't seen you in a while. Rich says, auditions are the job. Don't leave any platform. Stay. Joy says, Angela, any review on Fiverr would be awesome. Okay. Knick-knack says, hold control. Oh my God, I didn't know. See? Ask those questions. You, Knick-knack, you probably just helped a dozen other people go, now I know how to do that because you asked that question. So thank you. No dumb questions. Ask the questions. Paul says, hi, Angela, et al. Caught out by time zone change, now on catch up. Yes. Time zone change. Spicy Caesar says, no worry. I hear you. Happy to help. Jim says, AZ, where triple-digit summer days are a way of life. Two highest temps are Phoenix and Vegas. I mean, either way you look at it, you're going to get heat, right? Because it's desert. So if you pick Arizona or Nevada. But you want to come to Arizona because I'm here. Right? If you had to choose one. Yeah. Vital says, looking forward to chatting with you tomorrow, Angela. Very much a newbie. Oh, is that you that I have tomorrow? Are you my Zoom call tomorrow? Looking forward to chatting with you too. Jim says I'm saying that because it's a different name than whoever booked the chat tomorrow. Jim says, do it and say what date it applies to. Progress always updates tech. Christine says, RIP Space Ghost. Jim, zooming with the wheel might be an Adobe thing like J, K, and L move the timeline sideways. Christine, whoops. Whoa, Christine says fiber web. Okay. Fiber. A Fiverr webinar. Fiverr webinar sounds cool. Okay, good. Jim says, noon here, going to lunch. Have a nice lunch, Jim. Colette says, what's the quietest mouse for VO? It doesn't really matter what mouse you're using. If you need to scroll, just pause in your recording. That's what I do. I have a Logitech trackball mouse that I use. And it, as quiet as it is, it still makes noise, that with the proximity to my microphone could be picked up. So to alleviate that, I just pause. If I have to scroll, I just pause while I scroll and then cut out the pause later in post. Joy says, Dylan, a few many-to clients is a problem I'd love to have. And you'll get there. Thank you for clarifying. Looking forward to meeting you tomorrow. Jim says, I have a niece and a nephew there in Phoenix. Caesar says, love that name. Means the mysterious force that drives life. Oh, that's nice. Joy says, I want heat. I want to be outside all year round, so desert, here I come. You say that. You say that until it's 127 degrees and you can fry an egg on the hood of your car. Be careful what you wish for, Joy. Dwight says, Colette, I love my Microsoft trackball. Caesar says, most mice have mechanical switches. They won't be quiet, even trackballs. It's a non-issue. Delete the click if you see it, and don't speak while clicking. Exactly. Okay, so I'm actually surprised that we didn't get more into, we talked, well, because most of you guys wanted to know about marketing. I'm surprised that more of you didn't want to talk about invoicing, payments, customer management, or workflow was another one. Quickly, let's see, we touched on customer management. We touched on invoicing, I think, but I use PayPal Business to invoice my clients, and I would actually get one of those accounts sooner rather than later as well, because a lot of people overlook the point of when you're signing up on ACX and they ask you for your banking information, it's for them to deposit your royalties into, not per finished hour payments. Those, if you get a per finished hour book, you need to invoice the client. So having a way to invoice sooner rather than later is definitely going to behoove you. So that is definitely something to look into sooner rather than later. In terms of workflow, again, there's going to be a lot of variables from person to person to person. Everybody's situation's a little bit different. Your availability, the length of time that you can spend in the studio doing the work is going to differ from person to person to person. The time of day that's going to be quiet enough for you to record, so on and so forth. Workflow for me just came down to taking note of what days were quiet, like what sections of time on what day I could be available, where there wasn't going to be any noise, those sorts of things, and then start scheduling your recording time within those time frames. Especially if you're like a parent and then you have your child has extracurriculars and things like that, then just start taking note of when you're not available and then checking to see if you can make yourself available. And again, in the beginning, if you're working for someone else and then, like for me, I had to work, 10, 11 hours and then come home, make dinner, help with homework, so on and so forth. And I only had a small snippet of time every night, an hour or two, maybe 3. And then the same for weekends to build out my business. But I had to sacrifice an hour of sleep here, half hour, maybe a little bit of time with my family. But again, knowing that this was temporary. These sacrifices that I was making to make everything work was only temporary, because my end goal was to do this full time and to have more time to do this, and then making myself available to do more with my family later. So I knew I had a goal, and that was my main goal. So the sacrifices that you're making now are temporary, as long as you are working, earnestly towards that goal. Dwight says, optical trackballs use light reflection. The only mechanical sound is if I click the switches, not using the tracking features themselves. Colette says, I just got punted from the chat. What do you mean? I didn't punt you from the chat. Caesar says, welcome back, Colette. We said quiet mouse doesn't matter. Don't click while speaking. If you click it, if you see a click, delete it. Also, Dwight says something light reflecting up. Caesar. Colette says, thank you, Caesar. We catch up soon. Indeed, and we shall. All right, so that's going to wrap up this live chat for this week. Again, if there's something that you want to talk about, there's some aspect of voiceover, whether it be performance, the technical, the business side, if there's something that you want to talk about, then leave that comment for me. And it could be a topic that not only helps you, but maybe a dozen other people with the same question. So don't be afraid to ask. If there's something that you want to talk about during one of these live sessions, that's why I'm here, is to help. So tell me what you want to talk about, and then we'll potentially talk about it. But that is it for me today. Yes, you got the mom look, Caesar. All right, y'all. So I'll see you all next week. And for those of you in my platinum group, I'll see you just in a couple of days on Thursday. And yeah, we'll talk next week. Bye.